Welcome, everybody. This is day 24 of the mayhem, the Seance at the Whitney. The presence of your company is requested at a convening of spirits, and in the process, a little bit of nonsense along the way. Tonight, we are going to try to keep to a schedule. And I never know from moment to moment if that's actually going to happen. But, I do the best we can. At this point of the month, I'm just praying I make it through. The Seance at the Whitney is an interactive indie author virtual book festival featuring author readings, an interactive improv mystery game, and book giveaways every night. Participating authors are on your screen. If you don't already know them, if you haven't been here all month, if you haven't watched the replays, please go back, check out their readings, investigate their books, buy them, send them as gifts. Really, just because they're astounding and amazing. And, if you need a story, we've got lots. Tonight, speaking of stories, we have readings for you. Mary Beth McGee is going to read from her book, Cypress Point Confidences. Unfortunately, Dawn Menge cannot be with us tonight. Kind of a last minute thing. So just one reading tonight, but we're still going to give away 2 books because I'm going to donate a book from my catalog to also go on the spinning wheel tonight. So we'll get 2 winners tonight, as we always do. So, Madame McGee, when you are ready, please take the microphone and read aloud.
And look, I managed to get it to show on the screen without evaporating. I love it. Yay.
That's a skill.
I snuck up on it. Okay. This is a short story from the collection called Social Not Working. Leslie Putnam typed as fast as her thumbs could move as she captioned the photo on her smartphone. Energy intense here at Zelda Lock concert. Can't wait till she takes the stage in 1 hour. 3 hours on the road to get here, but so worth it. A photo of the crowded arena went out to all of Leslie's connections on her social networking sites. Leslie only sent the message to her inner circle. She was confident that all of them would be happy for her, and she wanted to share the news. When her parents surprised her with the trip and tickets to the concert, she had been delighted. Now that she was actually here, she felt transported to paradise. 2 minutes later, her friend Calypso shared Leslie's message with her connections. My BFF Leslie at the ZL concert. I'd give anything to be there with her, Calypso added as a blurb as she sent Leslie's original message onto her connections. Jocko, Calypso's sometimes boyfriend, bristled when he saw the message. He added his own message as he forwarded it to his friend. Stinking bimbo trying to make my girl feel bad flaunting her money. Callie can't afford to go, but no good broad rubs it in that she can. The message went to all of Jocko's buddies, including the 3 guys he met last time he was locked up for drunk and disorderly. It didn't take long for Craig, one of Jocko's jail friends, to backtrack on the message and find Leslie's profile. He did some quick calculations and figured he probably had 6 hours before she returned home from the concert if she went straight home. And 6 hours was more than enough time to do what he had in mind. He called Nardo, Callie, and Jocko and told them to wait at a diner about 2 miles from Leslie's house. When they were all together, he laid out the plan. So this chick has money and she's gone to this concert over in Picola. We can hit her place and be long gone before she gets back. Jocko, you get revenge for your girlfriend and we get to split the cake. I got her address from her profile. Stupid broad has her whole life out there for the world to see. The tools are in the truck. Let's hit the street. Sounds good to me, man, agreed Nardo. She probably won't even miss the stuff we take. Just take a shopping trip and buy some more. I hope she does miss it. Maybe she won't be so quick to rub stuff in Callie's face anymore, offered Jocko as he brooded. The charming quartet made their way to the block where Leslie's parents' house stood in darkened quiet on the outskirts of Cypress Point. They backed into the driveway as far as they could so shadows obscured the truck. Jocko and Tally climbed out of the back while Craig and Nardo exited the cab of the pickup. Craig grabbed a tool belt before he closed the door as quietly as he could. The men each grabbed a duffel bag from the truck bed. They donned gloves and separated to examine the exterior of the home with quick expertise, looking for weaknesses they could exploit. Nardo motioned the others over to a small window standing partway open. "Can't always forget the laundry room," he chuckled. "Watch this." He pulled a knife from his pocket and cut the screen covering the open window. With his hands protected by the gloves, he didn't hesitate to pull back the edges until he could push his shoulders through the opening and lower himself into the laundry room beyond the window frame. "Meet me by the back door," he whispered to his companions before entering the house. Craig stood ready when Nardo unlocked the kitchen door. He pushed the smaller man aside and strode in. Jocko and Tally tailed him like hungry puppies following a meal. "Split up," ordered Craig. "Jocko, you head up to the bimbo's room since you got a score to settle. Nardo, you and Tally check the other bedrooms. Look for jewelry boxes, cash, electronics. You know the drill. I'll work down here. Everybody put whatever you find in your duffel. Don't take your gloves off, no matter what. We can't afford to leave fingerprints. All of us are in the system." The group scattered as they began their methodical ransacking of the home. 20 minutes later, the four men regrouped in the living room, each of them dragging an overstuffed bag. What did you get, Jocko? Lots of payback for your girl? How about you two? Was it worth our time? Craig sneered as he questioned them. "Oh, yeah, this was rich pickings," laughed Nardo. "We're going to be living on Easy Street when we fence this stuff." "This'll take that hotshot broad down a peg or two," said Jocko. "I found all kinds of stuff that I've heard Calypso talk about and drool over. We'll see who has the last laugh now, when it's all gone from the rich witch, and I'm giving Calypso some nice trinkets with the money I get from this job." Tally nodded his agreement as he repositioned his bag on his shoulder. "Let's get out of here," Craig ordered. "We got some serious partying to do after this night's work." The four walked back through the dining room and into the kitchen, making last-minute additions to their bag along the way. Tally turned the doorknob and pulled open the kitchen door. "Going somewhere, gentlemen?" asked Inspector Christine Moore. She stepped from the shadows as the beam of a spotlight snapped on and illuminated the back patio. "Maybe you need some help with those bags." Craig looked over Tally's shoulder and recognized Moore as the Cypress Point cop who had arrested him twice in the past 6 months. He counted at least 6 uniformed cops, some of them county deputies, behind her. "Run!" he yelled. He dropped his bag and headed for the living room door. Nardo headed toward the laundry room window he had used to gain entry. Jocko tripped over Craig's bag as he tried to follow his leader's path and sprawled on the kitchen floor. Tally stood transfixed in the glare of the spotlight. Uniformed officers greeted Nardo as he exited the laundry room window. Others arrested Tally and Jocko in the kitchen. Craig made it to the front door, but found his way blocked by the stocky form of Sergeant Bill Logan and another uniformed officer. As the 4 men were escorted to waiting vehicles for transport to the town lockup, Moore and Logan inspected the 4 duffel bags. "There's some nice stuff here," noted Logan. "These clowns would have scored major cash with a fence." It's a good thing that George Putnam purchased that sensor system for his home when the local break-ins started. "Lets us offer drive-up service to the bad guys. They break in and we drive up." Christine Moore made a few notes in her notebook. "Have these bags taken to the station for inventory. I'll let Mr. Putnam know that we caught the guys. Now, if he can just stop his daughter from broadcasting every move she makes to the world, he can rest easy," responded Logan. "Good luck with that one," laughed Moore. "Her social networking may not be working to her advantage, but I don't think she'll be willing to go into electronic exile." I think I'll stop there.
You. Very good. That was super fun.
Very good.
We
Very
love
good.
your voices. We love your
Thank
tone
you.
and inflection. You're a lovely storyteller. Thank
Oh,
you
well, thank
so,
you.
so
Melinda
much.
is my inspiration, so.
It's all your fault, Melinda.
Yes, you.
Again, if you can hold up your book for us so that we can see it, Mary Beth.
See if I can
This is
sneak it up there.
Cypress Point
Yay!
Confidences. Check that out, ladies and gentlemen. Go to the website. You'll find a link there where you can learn more about the book. Okay. Let's see if we can make this thing happen now. Okay. All month long, I've been doing this recap, and
Would you like me to read it this evening?
oh, that'll be fun. Yes. Can you
I
read?
can do that.
Yeah.
The
Go.
Seance at the Whitney, at the Ghost Bar inside the Whitney Manor, an historic Detroit estate. A world-famous psychic medium has come for an exclusive, invitation-only seance. With so many curious about spiritualism around the world, this event promises to connect the living and the spirit worlds, opening doors to mysteries that transcend time and space. But when that seance spirals into a chilling rendezvous with a vengeful spirit and a shocking murder, calls upon those in attendance to unravel the truths hidden in the darkest depths of the past. A spirit is summoned, vowing revenge upon their killer. One of the guests becomes hysterical, claiming the spirit is there for them. Suddenly, the lights start flickering, and a wind pushes the windows open, extinguishing the candles around the room. The room and everyone in it is thrust into darkness. And when the light returns, that same hysterical guest is lying on the floor. Dead? Who killed them? Why? Was it the furious spirit? Something far more earthly.
That's it. You're hired. You get to read all my narration from now on. That was absolutely perfect. I don't know why I'm reading and you're in the room. Don't
And
know.
I rest my case. Okay. When I say she's my inspiration, I mean it.
Holy moly. Yeah, no kidding. All right. So our cast, the medium is the great Christopher Gare. Unfortunately, he is not in the room this evening. The assistant, Donna Newman. The author, Amy Kelso. The socialite, Don Menge, who is also mysteriously missing. The spouse, Jules Nelson. By the way, she's the spouse of the dead Richard Whitney. The fan of the great one is Marianne Wieland. The aloof guest, Gary Floyd. Our astounding maitre d' is Melinda Falgo, and I am your halfway making it storyteller. So thank you everybody for coming again tonight. We're gonna have a good time. I know you guys have lots of questions because every night we seem to be laughing more than we're discovering clues, which, you know, I'm okay with at this point. So I'm gonna allow you guys to really go at it. We only had one reading tonight, so we have a little bit of extra time. I suggest you use that extra time to your benefit and ask questions. So we're gonna start first. Amy Kelso, go.
Okay, I am actually not going to ask a question. I'm going to answer a question because I did watch that replay yesterday, and I know that you guys are probably wondering about Richard's will.
Yeah,
and
there was a lot of concern about Richard's will last night.
So I do have some information about that, so I will let you know. So, so if you're wondering, yes, my dear brother did tell me what was in his will. I actually saw it because he does talk to me, unlike some people in his life that apparently they only talk about weather. So, but he does confide in me, or he did, obviously not so much anymore.
He confides with me now.
But he did confide in me. He let me know that the will does leave all of his estate to me. Now, keep in mind, it is part of the Whitney family's money. We have inherited this. So it is very important that we keep the money in the Whitney family. Now, my will, all of my money was going to be left to Richard. So, it was kind of a equal, we're trying to keep our money in the family. Now, the thing is, though, I know you're all thinking, oh, she wanted him for his money. She knew she was going to get it. She killed him off. But that is not the case.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of forensic files where the spouse did it or the family member did it. So
for the insurance money, I know that's the
for
typical
the insurance
assumption.
money. Yeah.
But here's the thing: you've got to remember, just in case I haven't pointed this out enough, I am a successful author. I have books. My books are being made into Amazon Prime movies. I'm going to be rolling in the dough. I don't need his money. However, what I really needed from Richard was his mind. I need him alive. Because, okay, and here's part of what I need to admit. I do have this great deal with Prime where I'm going to be writing these books. I was having a little teensy bit of trouble with coming up with story ideas.
Uh-oh.
And Richard and Nora and me, as you know, we used to play together. We'd work out, we'd make up all these stories together. I was hoping that Richard would help me get some ideas for my story. So I really needed him alive to help me.
So what you're telling us is you had writer's block and you needed your big brother to help?
Little tiny bit of writer's block, perhaps. And I was just hoping he could spark some things with me, let's say. But so obviously I needed him alive, and I will make so much money on these books and stuff. I don't need his money. I needed his mind. Now somebody has smashed that mind in with apparently a crystal ball. I'm in trouble too. So, yeah, I just want to clear up. I have no reason to want to kill him. I wanted him alive. So.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a very heartfelt redirection of guilt. So there we go. Melinda, go.
I have for a point of clarification here, Amy. Do you mean to tell me that there was absolutely no clause in Richard's will that left anything to a poor, loyal servant for so many years, such as myself? I mean, nothing, not even a pittance?
Well, okay. I mean, not directly, but it was assumed, obviously, that any money that we got would be used to help fund the Whitney. So we are still providing for the Whitney itself.
So what you're saying is you weren't planning on any personnel changes?
No, I wasn't. Okay. We shall see. But at this point, I was not.
We have to find out.
Depends on what that Brazilian maid can do, or not. We'll decide about changing things around. I don't know.
75% off the wax.
Well, we'll see. Let me think about it.
Right. Jules, go ahead.
So, I mean, we've been talking about all these Brazilian maids and bomb shelters and stuff, and it's all well and interesting, but it's not really helping us solve who killed my darling Richard. And I know I'm frustrated with him.
You're so pragmatic. Go ahead.
I'm frustrated with him right now because he's been hiding some stuff and everything, but I have been in love with him since the 5th grade. So I think we should focus on who could have killed him. Like, who's strong enough to swing that crystal ball at Richard and crush his carotid artery. So even though Amy stands to get the most from him, she also just sits around all day writing. So I don't think she's going to be able to crush anybody's skull in, no matter how much she would want to. Then, I mean, we have Donna, who seems also a little bit more cerebral. Marianne, I mean, even though she's the most angry and has the most of a reason to kill Richard, she's kind of a harmless old biddy. I don't think she could see it. No offense. And then, even though Diana, I suspect that you're a lot more than a reporter, and that you're hiding a lot from us. You still write all day long. So, I mean, who are we looking at? And I
I'm
know,
in really lousy physical shape, I'm here to tell you.
and I know some of you guys are like, maybe Richard did it to himself because he's, got some problems and stuff. But he got bashed on the right-hand side, and he was annoyingly left-handed. So, he couldn't have done it himself. So that only leaves a few people in the room that are strong enough that could have done this.
Indeed. I like your suppositions, and I'll be very interested to see over the next several days if we can solve any of those questions. Mary Beth, go ahead.
Hi. As I was reviewing the lineage, gotta track down the lineage. And the one thing I noticed was I seem to have missed who David Jr.'s wife was. Could there be a connection, familial connection there? Did I miss something, or did we not give that information?
That I will need to check my notes while we're going to the next question. I will absolutely check my notes and let you know.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I will do that right now. Go ahead.
I can answer that first of all, because I have my notes right here.
Well,
and obviously it's my family.
I'm digging out the family tree so that
It was Catherine Evans was his wife.
Okay,
which
I
is,
thought
of course,
Catherine
my
was
grandmother.
his sister.
Catherine Evans,
Okay.
David Whitney Jr.'s wife.
Okay, I made the note that she was Catherine Whitney Evans, and that's where I got discombobulated.
Yeah, she was actually Catherine Evans Whitney.
Aha! Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, I just double checked the family tree. Thank you,
I also,
Amy, for taking such precise notes. The writer that you are is always very helpful. Go ahead.
Well, I also wanted to read Mackenzie's comment in the chat.
Yes.
Said, Miss Nelson, if you can crush Richard's dreams and heart by quieting the love of his life, I'm sure you could either kill him or hire someone else to do it. That was Mackenzie's comment. So
I like the revenge for hire thing. That's great. Donna, go ahead.
First of all, I have a statement, and this is based on what was said. It's not as much about how strong someone is. For science, it has to do with the force and the weight. So if you take in the weight of the crystal ball plus the force, anybody, even the tiny little Jules, can do it.
If you can pick up the crystal ball, you have to be able to pick up
so
the
it doesn't
ball,
matter how strong you are. It has to do with the weight and the force and the angle. So,
and this
you can't say Jules is out of the picture for this.
And this is why we don't usually invite kindergarten teachers to our parties, because they're just
they know too much.
They know far too much.
I know a little bit about something.
Melinda, go ahead.
Well, that being said, let us not forget that Miss Donna Newman has been handling the great Christopher's ball sack for time. So she has had a lot of opportunity to build up that strength, contrary to what Miss Nelson has said. And let's not forget that she herself, by her own admission, hails from the Seattle area, which we had that sort of odd article that popped in that, makes me wonder about the doldrums that the great Christopher pulled her up from. So,
I never said I was from Seattle. I said I was at a show that I saw the great Christopher at in Seattle. I could have just been driving by. I never said I was from Seattle.
So were you living
was born in Oregon.
So were you living in Seattle at
Oregon.
the time?
Were you living in Seattle at the time?
I was homeless, and Seattle was where I ended up when I saw the great Christopher.
Did he save your life?
Yes, he did. He saved my life. I was in a bad spot when he found me.
Yeah, as I understand it from earlier moments of confession, you offered that your family was not very nice to you.
Yeah, my family was not nice to me at all. My family did not understand my skill and they thought I was crazy. And they didn't let me be who I was. They just kept saying that I was crazy. So
Quite
as for that, I
understandable.
have nothing to do with them now.
What was that, Marianne? Go ahead.
I said that's quite understandable from her family, knowing the hired help here just a little bit from tonight.
Go ahead, Donna.
I did have a question though. We keep talking about the will.
Yes.
Amy, and this is just some little thing I know from inheritance law. What's the date on the final will that you have seen? Was it prior to when he married Jules?
Oh, it was definitely after he was married to Jules. He showed me this. We had maybe had a discussion about how he didn't think they would ever have an heir because Jules was cold to him. I didn't ask questions, but that was after, after that he
So-
showed me that will.
So Amy, let me understand. You mentioned in passing when we first started this convening that you had earmarked some of the royalties for both Richard and Nora from your books, but you never got a chance to get that money to Nora. Did you indeed give any of that money to Richard?
I did, yes. Yeah, we talked about that I was giving him money that Jules apparently didn't know anything about, which all things considered doesn't surprise me
Do
anymore.
you have
But
any
yes.
idea what he did with that money?
I
mean,
don't
it seems
know
a little
offhand.
interesting that the morgue report tells us that a very valuable necklace was found on his person after his death. So I'm wondering, did you give him enough royalty money that he could have invested in such a gaudy piece of jewelry?
The money that I gave him, this was, before obviously getting my huge advance from Amazon. So it wasn't it was not enough to buy such a piece of jewelry.
Okay. All right. Who else has questions out there? Anyone? Go ahead, Gary.
Did you give any money to Nora's family?
I did not because I'd been waiting until we found out where Nora was. As far as we knew until this seance, she could have been alive. She was just missing. And so wanted to give the money to her. I was waiting to see if we could find her.
Where
Which-
is the money now?
No.
It is still in my account set aside for Nora or her descendants, but apparently she doesn't sound like she has those either. So I don't think I would just give it to her family since her
So-
family didn't help with the stories at all.
So, Marianne, you are Nora's sister. Did you know that this money was going to be left to her?
No, I did not. This is news to me. The dirty bird over there, she'd make up anything at the drop of a hat. Drop of a hat, I tell you. And oh, such a dirty bird. Such a dirty bird. Oh my gosh. And my sister. And she's talking about my sister. Where is my sister? Find my sister.
And you wonder why I wouldn't give money to Nora's family?
I think
Nora's
that
family does not need it. We have
Yes.
plenty of money. And is anybody else as bored to death as I am? When is this going to be over? My husband is going to come pick me up, the clown, and take me home instead of sending the car. I am bored to death with this. Everybody knows who did it. Everybody knows why they did it. And you're just sitting there, just wasting time.
wasting time.
who did
Nobody's
it?
confessing. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I know who did it. If my husband was here as an innocent bystander, the clown, he would know who did it too. He'd be able to tell you everything. Yes, yes.
Gary, go ahead.
So it seems like that Nora was one of the co-authors and Richard was one of the co-authors, and both of them are gone, and there's a lot of money that's sitting there. Is this a coincidence?
Apparently, yes. I mean, I've been trying to give them the money they want. I gave Richard the money. It's not my fault that my friends keep dropping off like flies. It's really actually very tragic for me.
Your
Of course,
co-writers.
Nora, now your brother. It's
I
interesting.
know,
It's very
awful.
interesting that the two people who were most instrumental in your author career are now conveniently gone.
Does she have to
I
I
get
don't
another
find
one?
it convenient at all. I told you,
Listen,
I needed
that's
Richard
interesting.
around.
I find it convenient on the wake of you getting this deal with Prime. Now they're both gone, not just one of them, but both of them. Jules Nelson, go ahead.
Actually, now that you talk about it in that frame, I'm actually a little, even though I'm not real fond of my sister-in-law, but a little worried that Amy might be next. Maybe this had nothing to do with money or anything else, and something that they maybe witnessed or something as kids. Because I mean, at first it was Nora, and then it was Richard, and then now it's gonna be Amy, right?
I definitely understand your
not.
concern. I could also understand your concern that if Amy's next, that would leave you to be missing next.
Or the biggest suspect.
Well, there's that. Mary Beth, go ahead.
Oh gosh, I just lost. No, Amy has sort of become like the Jessica Fletcher of Detroit, or you get involved in a story with her and boom, you're dead.
If the great
Not my
Christopher were,
fault.
were here, he would say much like one of Deborah Reed's novels.
You don't want to turn your back on her book.
Diana
Froze.
froze. So
She
Donna,
froze.
you
Donna?
go.
So I don't know who my question is for. I guess it's for Amy. So Amy, you keep saying you wanted your brother to help you because he was your inspiration. But does he know he wanted to help you? Did he say, "Hey, yes, sister, I want to help you," or did he say, "No, you're on your own"?
Oh, he was a moron.
Or did he say, please don't hurt me?
Or yes, or "Please don't hurt me because I don't want to help you."
He wanted to help
We
me.
need to take
Whether
a picture
he,
of Diana's the way she's
Yes.
frozen. Sorry.
Mackenzie, this has to be a meme. Come on. Oh, we lost it. Okay. Anyway. um He wanted to help me. He may not have realized that. I know that there was a time when I was trying to encourage him to help me. Now, this was again after he had just had a big fight with his wife, so he was already upset, but he was not as nice to me about the help as I was hoping he would be, but that doesn't mean he didn't want to help me. I know in his heart he really did. So
Or did you threaten him, said, "If you don't help me, I'm going to hit you over the head with a crystal ball"?
how would that help me? I needed him alive. Why would I damage his brain? I mean, not that I would, but I could have hurt him in other ways where I could still access his help. Just saying.
What other ways could you hurt him?
I don't know, but it wouldn't involve smashing his brain in for sure.
Jules Nelson, go ahead.
I think Marianne had her hand up before I did.
Okay, Marianne, go ahead.
Has it occurred to anyone in this room that possibly Richard was not the intended target, even though his death was a greatness to humanity? Possibly he
A
wasn't the
tremendous loss.
target.
A tremendous
It
loss.
would have, the whipping of the ball, of the great one's ball, would have been from the other side of the table, from where he was sitting, and it would have been with somebody with a strong arm, just like some of you pointed out. And I think the target was someone else entirely. And we all know it. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. But find my sister.
Jules, go ahead.
I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew that even though Amy's leading them astray a little bit, Richard was very adamant with his sister that he didn't want to hear about her stories anymore. He didn't want her to talk about it. And he told her to leave him alone about stories. So maybe he was annoyed at me before that. But you know what? When you're arguing, you really say what's on your mind and you stop being nice. So, I mean, I think he really did just want her to leave him alone about the stories. So I don't think he wanted to help at all.
Melinda, go ahead.
And we did have that overheard argument between Amy and Richard just before the seance.
Indeed. Mary Beth, go ahead.
Oops. Okay. The curse. Back to the curse.
Curse?
The curse that supposedly Clyde put
Yes.
on.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Could that
I'm
play
following
into
your
this?
train of thought. It could.
Yeah. I mean, that we're mysteriously losing all of these various family members.
Yeah, well, the Lions had a curse on them for decades, and you saw what just happened before the Super Bowl. So I suppose there's a possibility, right? It's possible.
So
Amy,
do we have any details on that curse?
unfortunately, we do not. The Detroit Public Library is not really great on keeping their curse book up to date. Unfortunately, no card catalog on curses in the Detroit Library.
Well, thank
Amy,
you.
Amy, go ahead.
So I just wanted to, and it kind of, I'm going to read Mackenzie's because it fits right in with mine.
Yes.
Says maybe Miss Whelan was the one who did it, and she was trying to hit the persons next to the great one. Now, and I will point out, looking at my seating chart, Marianne just said maybe the ball came from across the table. Well, directly across the table from Richard was Marianne. So, Marianne,
that is interesting. So,
I
Marianne,
want to ask you,
yeah,
who were you targeting when you threw that crystal ball?
and did you know that you just confessed without realizing it?
I have not touched the great one's balls in some time.
Some time.
So
It's Hoboken.
Hoboken, yes. And the great one may not be so great as we've led you to believe.
But Marianne, this wasn't one of his balls.
It was
imitation balls.
Well, it was a ball that was on the table in front of him, and I believe it came from the mantle. Am I saying that correctly? And his ball was still on the table, but his balls were in the ball sack next to him. And just as long as I'm pointing out his balls in the sack, Harpy, you might want to take a look through those balls, look in under his balls, all around his balls for your keys, because I have noticed at seances I've been at before and his mentalist programs, sometimes little things are missing, possibly in his ball sack. Check that out. Check it out.
I think we're done with that line of questioning. Jules, go ahead. Save me, please.
Going back to the question about the curse, do we know? Because you said you had a little bit of knowledge about Clyde Bergson's descendants. Do we know if any of his descendants that have been ruined are any of them in the room tonight? Is there any chance that any of our
none of the Bergsons are in the room tonight? And quite honestly, the last time the Bergsons have been mentioned in the Detroit Free Press was when they had to move their estate from Detroit to Ann Arbor because they were short on funding and they had to liquidate the Detroit property. So as far as I know, the Bergson descendants live in Ann Arbor now.
Okay.
Okay, time for one last question. Anybody have a last question they'd like to throw out? Amy, is there anything in the chat I need to know about?
Well, I would just ask, my question was for the Bergstons, do any of them work for the Whitney? So I guess Melinda, do you know?
Not that I know. Melinda, do you have any employment records for the Bergsons?
Does he look like a Bergson to you?
Did he move to Brazil?
He looks like a tenant to me.
Does he by some chance work on other people's property and other houses? Could
He can be bought for a price.
Does he have a clown wig?
I have
Did the
A
Bergsons
clown.
For an
move to
extra
Brazil?
fee.
Okay.
I
And
will
we-
talk to you at a later date.
Although, why, when she's been complaining to you through this entire ordeal, she would want to talk to you now? I'm a little intrigued, but
If the
Well-
Whitney folds, I need to make a living somehow.
well, there's that. Okay.
I'm in Ainsworth and I have plenty of money in which to hire other people.
Sure, but
Or-
up till now, you haven't even wanted her pizza.
Oh, she
He
scarfed the
wants
pizza.
a piece of this.
Well,
Okay. All right, we need to be done for tonight. We're like out of time. We're running so late. Thank you very much,
Mm.
everybody. Thank you for managing while my internet was dealing with ghosts of its own. So I appreciate your help. So here we are at the end of another interrogation session around the seance table. Who did it? We got to keep asking questions. Remember, we will be slinging accusations on the 28th of February, and on the 29th, we will reveal who did it. So start formulating your accusations. You've only got 3 more days. Watch those replays, find the missing details, and get ready. Okay, wax dripping time. Here we go. Here's the update. Christopher Gare in first place, Amy Kelso in second place, Deborah Reed in third, Andrew Allen Smith in fourth, and Jules Nelson rounds out the top 5. Huzzah to all of you. And here are the rest of the standings. We're having a really good time with this game. It's super fun, and we still have 4 more days for everybody to amass wax drippings. So bring your friends into the room and let
And
Uh,
froze
She froze
again.
again. There she is.
am
Well, at
I
least-
back?
You're
Yeah.
back.
Yes, ma'am.
yeah,
Am I
you're good.
talking?
You know what?
Yes.
That's what the great Christopher looks like when a ghost possessed him. Exactly like that.
Okay. Swell. That makes me feel so good. All right, let's get through this before the ghosts take over my internet completely. Send your address to me at diana@pagespromotions.com, and I will make sure your books get out to you. Tonight, we are giving away a copy of Cypress Point Confidences, right? Yes.
Right.
Okay, and the second spinny wheel will be whoever's name comes on the second spinny wheel. You can go to my website at dkpwriter.com and choose one book from my catalog, and I will make sure you get it. Okay, so whichever book you want from my catalog, that's going to be the book that goes out on the second wheel, if I can get through the second wheel without everything falling apart.
You
Okay.
can do this. You can do
Oh,
it.
jeez. Yeah, today's been a day, folks. Okay, I'm gonna share the wheel.
Dun, dun,
Dun,
dun.
da, da, da. Sharing the wheel. Dun, da, da, da. Gonna check the sound
There's the
because
wheel. Woo!
I turned down the sound, and let's do this before I lose track. Here we go. Yay! Well,
Yay!
another book! Huzzah! Congratulations! And here we go. Here's for any book you want in my catalog, I'll send it out to you. Here we go. Congratulations, Miranda. Go to my website at kpwriter.com. Choose a book of mine that you would like me to send to you, and I'll be happy to get that out to you. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. I'm so blessed to have every single one of you in my life making me laugh even through days like today. So thank you so much. Just to get us out of here, we're gonna do shots across the bow. Marianne Whelan, go.
I'm out of anything to say.
Okay, you guys, this is like the fourth time she's been speechless. So consider we have magic in the room because we made Marianne speechless. Amy Kelso.
I just want to remind you, I wanted Richard alive, so I obviously wouldn't be the one who killed him.
Well,
Jules is. I mean,
yeah. Yes, there's that. Okay. Donna Newman, go ahead.
Unless Amy, he said absolutely not, and he was going to actually take that prime slot from you when he told him that it was plagiarism and that you had stolen his ideas. Then you would have wanted him to be dead.
like they would believe him over me, really.
Yeah.
Mackenzie, guilt-splain is a real word. Thank you for the new vocabulary. Jules Nelson.
I still just think Amy's the one that looks the most guilty. I mean, she came back from her argument and she's covered in mud and leaves in her hair and just looks completely disheveled. And I mean, if anybody was going to throw a crystal ball across the room in anger or frustration, I honestly, you have to look at the person who's got leaves in their hair. I just think that that's what we're looking at.
Maybe I was hanging out with the Brazilian maid.
What, a new character for your next novel?
Role playing.
Special new novel. Okay, wait. I mean,
Gary Floyd, go on.
The most dangerous job in Detroit, the ghostwriter with Amy Kelso. Literally.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah, who's tried? I mean, no, wait.
But you know, if she did that, she'd have to come up with yet another pen name, because you know. Melinda, shots across the bow.
Well, I just have to say, I mean, why on earth would I want to get rid of Richard? I mean, that's my meal ticket. I have been doing nothing but working for the Whitney for decades. And to kill my meal ticket, I mean, that's just putting myself out of house and home.
It is kind of like shooting yourself in the foot with, you know, a gun you found in somebody's drawer.
Absolutely. I mean, you can only make so much money from Brazilian waxes.
All right. I have one last shot across the bow for everybody. I cannot thank these authors enough for coming and being a part of this craziness all month. And I would really appreciate it if you would thank them by going to our yearbook on the website at pagespromotions.com, finding their books, buying their books. And once you read their books, go back and leave reviews, please. That's how you can thank them for entertaining you all month long. Read their books, review their books. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate every one of you. See you tomorrow night. We've got 4 nights left.